Thank you so much for joining us today. And just before we get into it, if you have not subscribed yet, please consider subscribing. We are so thankful for everyone who already has and everyone that just listens to this podcast. You know, this is a labor of love. We do this for you and to get the guests you want to see on this show. So please consider subscribing and enjoy today's episode.
Well, welcome back to the Kingdom Creatives podcast. My name's Sam. This is Josh. We have some very special guests from Sunday Screens, Mr. Ezra Cohen and Paul Trimble. Boys, great to have you. Thanks for joining us on the pod. The intro is always awkward because it's like, do we say hi? But you can say hi if you want.
Hello.
There we go. No, we're here in Fort Worth, Texas, and second home for me. Almost a second home for you boys too. You've been here a few times now. But yeah, just great to have you guys on. I'm super stoked to chat today, and yeah, I guess I really want to know what's in that box, firstly. So what did you bring?
Just shirts.
Okay.
Just swag.
Yeah, heck yeah. You've been asking for a shirt.
Yeah, I have. I remember actually, I think Sunday Screens started and I sent a DM. I'm like, oh,
you guys
will you ship it? And you're like, no, they responded.
Oh, okay.
And they're like, no, we're not shipping to Australia.
Oh, man, I'm sorry.
Now you're here to confront them.
Yeah. So this is what this is all about.
This is the confrontation.
No, I wouldn't ship anything to Australia either.
Yeah.
It'd be like, fuck.
Yeah.
We tried shipping to Canada once and it was like $30. It was like, well, here's a free shirt. You know?
Yeah.
It's those tariffs, you know?
It's literally gone. The tariffs. Hell yeah, we're so back, by the way. America's back. Yeah. Sorry, I just wanted to say that. But anyway, can you guys tell us about who you are? Who wants to go first? Ezra? Paul?
I'm Paul.
I mean, this is your... Actually, no, dude,
before.
come on, dude. This is your second time on the show.
Second time on the...
You're almost like the third co-host.
Was that... No.
No.
Was that episode 3 or 4 or something?
Man, it was early. Yeah, this is now 15.
Yeah, see everyone who's your audience.
I mean, they know you, dude. You would have got a few follows.
And DM's like, what, Paul's coming back?
Yeah.
I'm Paul, and I do video stuff. I grew up in church, and I work with Ezra on Sunday Screens.
Yeah.
And I'm Ezra. I also grew up in church. I also do video stuff, and I do Sunday Screens with Paul.
Wait, but you boys have known each other for a long time.
Yeah.
Tell me the story.
Yeah, that's good.
20 years?
20 years.
I think
20 years.
Probably 20 years this year.
We were probably 14 or 15 when we met.
Yep.
I can't totally remember. But at the sound booth at church.
Hell yeah, dude.
20 years ago.
Yep.
Talking about
Tell
video
me about that
ideas.
moment.
Talking about video.
Talking about video ideas. Yeah, I was working on a kids' church video. It was like, I was like all in at kids' church. My mom was doing production, like theater production stuff.
Oh, cool.
And training like kids to kind of like, you know, do stage productions and stuff like that for Christmas or whatever. And I was working on some video because I was homeschooled and didn't have anything else to do. So I just spent all my time doing video projects.
That's awesome.
I was like trying to, I can't remember what it was for. I think it was like a ministry video, like kind of sharing like the heart for the ministry. And like, I was like stumped on this edit and like how to tell this story. And I was at the sound booth and hanging out with Paul. And for whatever reason, I just told him about it. He was like, why don't you just do this? And I was like, oh, okay, great.
That's
It
Paul.
was like from that point on, it was like we just collaborated. We just had all these like creative ideas all through high school together. And all
Oh, really? You went to high school? Oh, you were homeschooled too.
I was homeschooled.
Oh, okay. So you guys
we
were
had plenty of free
Is
time.
that like
had-
you went to the same school then? If you're both homeschool kids, it's like we're in the same school.
Yeah. Are you the same age?
Yeah.
Yeah, 30,
Maybe like-
35.
I'm
You'll be
34.
35. You'll be 35 in August.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So like, so we're a few months apart.
Yeah.
Have you guys ever had a fight?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. There was a slight pause, but I was like, yeah.
We lived together in college.
No way.
For 4 years we lived together.
Wow, really? What college did you go
And
to?
after that too, huh?
Yeah.
Christ for the Nations Bible School. We both went to Christ for the Nations Bible School. No, we lived off campus, but we met at the church offices every morning and then commuted together.
Oh, so you didn't actually live together?
Well, we did at DBU after that.
And then
So
we went to Dallas.
yeah, we went to CFNI, which is like this little Bible school in Dallas, and then went to DBU, and then lived.
And we shared a
there.
townhome
Yep.
together there. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then we got
it was
the
like it was 6 of us in a small town. It was
Yeah,
tight.
everyone shared a room. So it was 2 people per room, and we were all paying like $250 a person or something like that. It was awesome.
Really? That's actually
Yeah.
the
That was,
best.
that was
Yeah.
great. Yeah.
And it's been friends ever since.
Yeah.
That's so cool.
Awesome. What got you guys started in like video and media? Like back to the start. Like, so you were running the video for your mum at 15.
Yeah, so basically I grew up, I played music early on. Like I loved, playing music and stuff like that. We moved to Texas when I was like 13.
Where from?
We kind of lived all over. I was born in South Africa, my parents are both like first generation immigrants to the States.
Oh, cool.
And so they both got green cards. We kind of like moved here when I was like 3. And from that point, we were just kind of like trying to find our church home forever, like growing up. They're both in ministry. And so I grew up around all that stuff. I grew up like playing guitar. My dad would like speak at different churches, and my mom and I would like play these like specials. And that was kind of like the beginning of kind of like being involved in church. And then moved to Texas when we were like 13 because we heard about Gateway and just like their heart for a few different things, but like Jewish ministry. My dad's a Jewish believer, and then like their heart for production as well, and like a bunch of things just kind of brought us to Dallas. And and then because I was homeschooled, it was like I had all this free time to like, you know, be involved in church, and that was kind of like my social like world, you know. So played in the youth band with Paul, and then like
that's the best upbringing though. Hey, like isn't it the best growing up in church? Youth ministry days is like your best friends are forged.
Yeah, and it was awesome too because when we were both, you know, when we both started at Gateway, you know, going to Gateway, it was 1,000 people, 2,000 people.
Yeah. Oh wow, really? What year was
that was like 2012, 2013. No, you were there before me.
It was like 2000.
Oh, 2003.
2003, 2004. Yeah.
Yeah, so it was like very, very early days, and it was small.
Yeah.
And you were there even before that when it was like tiny. It was
like 3 or 4 people there.
Really?
Basically all throughout high school. Like we were kind of, you know, like in the like, you know, core team that was seeing this megachurch kind of grow.
Wow.
You know,
that's crazy.
And it was awesome. I mean, you know, I think by the time we were in college, it was like 30,000, 40,000 people.
Wow.
That's insane.
So that was such an incredible experience because as we're growing up through high school,
that's really cool.
We have all these resources of cameras and, you know, edit suites. And I mean, we would show up to play on the worship team and they would have Martins and Taylors and like the whole deal, you know. We're learning like how to operate at a high level in production, both for music and for video.
And a lot of shout out to a lot of people ahead of us who really trusted teenagers.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Like I'm thinking Ben Pirtle, Aaron Brown, David Milena Moore.
Yeah.
Just all these like maybe mid-20s people who are like, we need to get these 15, 16-year-olds involved and give them resources and train them up. And so
that was you guys.
Such a cool, and that was us. We were around.
That's so cool, man. Yeah, I had the same experience, except not a mega church. I mean, my church had like 50 people in it, but I had the opportunity to do like edit church news when I was like 13, 14, you know, and they trusted me to do it. They were the dumbest edits, like the worst edits. But yeah, that's I think that's where like, firstly, as we said before, where friendships are forged, but also where you start to build actual real skills, you know, and then like a church that trusts young people to do that, even though you know they're going to stuff up, you know, is like the best kind of fertile soil, you know?
Yeah, for sure.
So I love that. So what was the experience like, a bit off topic, but the experience like seeing a mega church begin? I mean, like, started small. You said you were there with 300-400 people.
Yeah.
I mean, we know it's I couldn't imagine Gateway being
that's insane.
So what did you guys see during that period of time? Like, what happened to make it explode like that? I mean, the Lord, obviously.
Yeah, the Lord.
Yeah.
The Lord. It was exciting. It was, I mean, really powerful worship.
Yeah.
Back in the early 2000s, Gateway was killing it with worship. They had, you know, Carrie Job was there, and all these songs were kind of popping off.
Did she come from Gateway?
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Gateway, yeah.
Oh, cool.
Yeah. And so
she's awesome.
That was a big part. And I mean, they had a bunch of guys, Zach Neese, like they had all these songs like The More I Seek You, and
awesome.
So it was all kind of like coming from Gateway. And then the teaching was really good.
Yeah.
And it was just, there was a lot of momentum and excitement around it, and it just grew crazy fast. I don't know.
Yeah.
It was wild to see. And me, I was homeschooled, so I was just like, great, more friends, you know?
Yeah. People.
Yeah.
Are you guys still in touch with anyone from there now? Like, how's everyone going there? Is everyone all right? Is the church going okay?
Yeah, I feel like it's like,
I mean, we don't have to go into it, but you know.
People are hurting, you know.
Yeah, of course.
But I feel like there's some amazing things that are being like born in like a fresh way. You know, it feels like from the things that I've seen of worship recently, and, you know, even the teaching, like there's like this new wave that's coming that's really, really special and really fresh. So
that's similar things happening with my friends at Hillsong. It's been a rough journey for them. My in-laws are service pastors at one of the campuses. And so like for 2 or 3 years there, it was rough, man. But I think that the church is like, it's forced them to go what do we believe? What are we doing? What do we see as important? You know, because sometimes when things get so big, there's drift in some areas. You know, so it's just when things like that happen, it can bring it back in. But you guys are at Mercy Culture now, both of you. Did you both decide there to go at the same time? Are you guys like best buds or something? Like,
Yeah, was it
only do things
first? Like, hey, bro,
do you just do things together, or what? Who
We
went
lived
first?
in Nashville till a couple years ago, and but yeah, I'm involved pretty heavily at Mercy Culture. And so when he moved here, we were just kind of bugging him to come.
Yeah. Okay.
No, yeah, it was awesome. So I was at TBCO for when I was in Nashville.
Okay, cool.
And that was, I love
How was that?
Incredible. I mean,
They do things on that
similar
way.
kind of situation. Like it was,
Okay.
kind of saw it, in its earliest stages. Not like their like basement days when it was like super tiny, but
Yeah.
they were still doing mobile church, only had one service.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, and it was like just a
Loading
Tuesday
in,
or
loading out,
something.
Tuesday
Yeah.
night. Yep.
Yeah.
And it was like, maybe 500 people,
Uh-huh.
and it was the same kind of, I mean, both the Gateway situation and TBCO, it was just like, we're supposed to be here. I don't know why, but but being able to like be in that stage of like early growth, was super cool. So I've served as like the creative director there for a little while, got to lead conferences and all that kind of
Oh,
stuff.
cool, man.
And then, long story short, and we shouldn't get into this too much, but long story short, like my wife and I had like this like major health crisis. We bought this house and it was like infested with black mold, like behind the walls.
Oh, shoot, dude.
It was all hidden in the walls.
Oh, no.
In Nashville.
Yeah. And so that was like, we basically lived there for like 2 years and then started getting like super sick.
Both of you guys.
Yeah, like
That's
my
so
wife had
bad.
like a seizure. She would have all these health symptoms start popping off, and it was just like both of us. So like I was losing my hair, my memory. I thought I was just like, oh, I'm 25. I guess this is what's supposed to happen. It was like something's just seriously wrong. And so anyway, long story short, we kind of like discovered that it was this issue, and our whole life kind of like fell apart for a little bit, health wise and all that kind of stuff. In like right before COVID hit. So it was like that hit, and then it was like 2 months later, COVID hit. So it was like this like crazy year of like health related issues for that year. And that's more of the reason why that the Madison Square Garden project was my last, because it was kind of like,
You were sick?
yeah, I just got super sick. And then
crazy.
we actually got into post-production on that. And I was like, I can't think anymore. I
Wow.
can't think straight.
Dude. Where was your family and her family at that time?
Her family lives in Mississippi,
Oh, okay.
Jackson, Mississippi. My mom's in Fort Worth. My dad's in the Ukraine. Like my family's all over the place. My brother's in Switzerland. Like we have like a very like,
Whoa.
wide
Everyone's everywhere.
family. So yeah.
Okay, so you didn't have any direct like family support or anything. you were
Not
sick.
at that time. Yeah, it was just
Okay.
like good friends and
Yeah.
stuff like that.
Dang,
And so,
man.
Yeah.
How was that whole? I mean, I know you don't want to get into it, but now I'm just
That's fine.
interested. What was that experience like? Because I've had friends who have had mold.
Yeah.
Is it called mold poisoning?
Yeah.
Yeah, they've had it, and they're sick for years. Like, how are you guys going now?
It's good, man. I mean, it was just like a brutal detox process
Really?
to like
Okay.
get that stuff. So there's some people, this is becoming like a medical podcast.
Hey, we always go on side quests. It could be
side
I have an exclusive.
Oh, yeah.
That's good.
heard it here first.
No, there's some people who have this gene that basically your body can't detox mold like naturally.
Oh, wow.
And so both
you
my
have
wife and I have that.
Frick.
So it made it really hard for us to like, get out of that. And it was like a lot of different like toxic molds, kind of like this like, cocktail behind the walls. It was like super strong. So it was just a process of like healing from it and, getting your cells to like regenerate. I mean, mold like in nature, its purpose is to break things down and
Okay.
bring it back to like from dust to dust kind of thing. But then if that's living in your lungs and your bloodstream and all that stuff, then it's like decomposing, which is its job. But it's doing that inside your body. So it was just kind of like a regeneration process.
What were those years like when you're both sick, so you're both kind of suffering, and like obviously you said you didn't do the MSG thing because of this.
Yeah.
Is that right?
Uh-huh.
So like, bro, like if you're being honest, what was that season like? Like,
It was intense, man. I mean, it was during COVID too. So it was like such a, just health was such like a thing, you know what I mean? Like for the world.
yeah.
And then we had this like extra thing going on the side. It's a confusing one because it's not like an established like diagnosis, you know what I mean? Like most people don't acknowledge it or whatever. And so you kind of just like this hidden invisible thing you're kind of just like dealing with. But
What were some of your symptoms? Like, how sick were you?
like brain fog was like probably the worst. You know what I
Really?
mean, because it was like, and I could not think straight, couldn't like formulate like edits or anything like that.
Really, bro?
Yeah.
Wow.
So it was like, it was a strange time.
Were you then like turning down stuff as well? Like, because you obviously couldn't do the edit.
Yeah. I mean, it was a weird time because it was like, Sorry, this is going such like a funny.
No, this is good. This is good. This is what podcasts are for.
Yeah, basically, it was a strange time because I was turning down client work because I couldn't interface, but at the same time, like right before the Madison Square Garden project and that whole year before, I'd started developing digital products for the first time. I had been doing client work so hard, like I was working 60, 80 hours a week, and I started just developing these like patterns in my workflow where I was, like, oh, this is helpful to me as an editor. I'm going to put it online, see what happens. And so I started sharing a couple like, templates, whatever. And it like exploded. And it like immediately like replaced our income and way more.
Wow.
Like
I don't know anyone that didn't buy your like first pack when they saw it. They're like, oh my gosh.
Like the
That's actually
8mm grain.
Yeah. Oh,
Game changer.
How did you like?
that saved my life.
So you're just like, I've got all these things. I've already got them essentially.
Yeah.
And then you just posted about it. Did you have a following already, or like how did you?
No, I had like 3,000 followers, something like that.
Yeah.
Mainly like fellow church media guys.
Yeah, of
who were
course.
just
Yeah.
like following along.
Which is might be your audience now. So.
Yeah, exactly. And so I just posted about it, and I expected it to make like $5,000 in its lifetime, and it made that in like the first like week, and I was like, "What?
Be like, what is this?
You know what I mean?
I can sleep and make money."
Yeah, seriously. So I was like waking up making money, and so it was a crazy like God thing because that happened right before we basically like I lost the ability to like work for like a year.
Wow.
And so it was like, and it was an insane time where God like completely like not only replaced our income, but like 10x'd it in like through this. And so we were like, even though we were losing tens and hundreds of $1,000s of fixing our house, getting rid of everything we owned, like we had to get rid of everything. Because it was infested.
So you owned this house. This was yours.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, that sucks.
And so even though we were going through that season, God was like taking care of us. And when our savings was growing while we were like completely starting from scratch, like where we got to the point where like everything could fit in one car. Had to like get rid of like wedding photos, her wedding dress, like all memories, everything like that. Completely started from scratch in 2020. And it was wild.
It was a crazy time.
Paul saw the worst of it for sure.
Yeah, what was your experience like?
Came out and helped us a number of times.
Yeah, as a friend, bro, like you're seeing your friends go through that.
Yeah, it was hard because it was seeing someone like who was so creative and like innovative, and then it kind of all just came to a halt for a season. We just felt bad for our friends. Me and my wife flew out to Nashville a couple times to help like clean stuff and pack them up, and it was just hard seeing your friends. Oh God!
Wait, did you genuinely choke? Or are you gonna start crying?
You start crying on the podcast.
Tears, or is it like a choke?
It's just gunk in my throat.
What
Fun with that feeling. I can try to cry.
Yeah, later on, we'll tee you up.
Yeah, it's hard seeing someone go through something and there's nothing you can really do to help, and you feel kind of helpless watching your friend go through crap,
Yeah, it sucks.
But I mean, it's a weird season.
Yeah,
but we're back.
So interesting that it's like so there was no deep desire for you to start what is now Sunday Screens. Like there's nothing.
That was. I mean, that Sunday Screens came out of like, Paul basically was like, hey, you've been doing this for a while. I think he kind of saw, I was like slow. I mean, it's almost 7 years since I started that for the first digital asset.
Yeah. That's crazy.
Which is now called Happy Editing.
7 years, damn.
And so, I had hired Paul to like help. We got to like finally work together again. And basically he was helping with that side of things, like developing, stuff and
I was helping you producing
shoots, all that kind of stuff for Happy Editing.
What was it? We were just on a shoot literally like 2 days ago.
We wouldn't have been able to do it without Paul.
Yeah,
it's so true.
He's
a web. Yeah, legit.
He's insane.
I would say you're a better producer than like
than anything else.
Person. No, but I did learn that about you though. On this time, I was like, okay, no, he's like really like you really know how to like pull people together, gather team, and then execute on a vision. Like you're very good at that. Very good. By the way, I was meant to say that yesterday at our encouragement session.
Let's do it on the potty.
Yeah, but anyway, I just want to say you're a freaking weapon. Anyway, where were you? Sorry.
No, so I mean, we were getting to hang and work together, and he was like, "Dude, have you ever thought about doing like screens for churches? Like, there's such a need there, And so that's basically where that came from, and we kind of just like started. We kind of like shifted all of our focus towards that.
Yeah, wow.
And that was in we started kind of working on it like November 2023, and then launched it in 22, then launched it like June 2023. And but that was like a deep desire because I was kind of getting like I started in church. Church is like means so much to me. And then, the happy editing side of things and all the assets are so sort of like
marketplace.
Yeah, it's just market. It was just like general,
Yeah.
Talking to editors, and which is awesome. But I was missing like that ability to like, connect with like the church again and like really be able to like serve the church on that level. And I'm not the type of filmmaker or video guy who like wants to make movies like most people do. I'm like the odd one out. Like growing up, like getting into video, like I was like obsessed with like perfume commercials. Because I was like, this is so cool. Like, how are you like getting to like be this abstract and like spend 30 seconds like building this world of senses, to talk about like a smell or whatever. And so like I've always been interested in more like textures and like abstract concepts and all that kind of stuff and being able to like portray that visually. And so like I'd nerd out over like gradients and color, like just like textures.
Yeah, you can tell.
And then being in Nashville, I just had a lot of opportunity to work on, tours and like multiple, variations of screens and stuff like that, whether it was for church or like arena. It was like everything from like, tiny screens at church to, like packed arenas on these tours.
That Toby Mac one was huge.
Yeah, the Toby Mac one was crazy. Like Winter Jam, Cody and Carey's tour.
Yeah,
just
cool.
like
I love your. I credit you to making Cody Khan's like cooler than he is. Like, I'm gonna say that.
Sorry, Cody, if you're listening.
No, but just like he's cool. But then when I saw his live visuals, I was like, okay, what? Maybe it was just the first time I saw Christian media elevated. I think it's probably more what I actually saw happen.
Yeah. Well, no, I mean, Cody's like, so Cody I met at Gateway. Like he was in the worship band too. He was in the youth band with us.
Really?
And
That's cool.
And Carey was like kind of like she was on the worship team at Gateway too. And both of them were so like near and dear to the worship team and all that stuff. But Cody's an incredible writer. And his like vision to even, to push that hard into media.
Well, that's probably what I noticed. Like, he was the first one, like, because like Christian media's probably had a really bad rap for like the early years. Yeah. And then it's like when I saw his live concert and everything, when you came in, I was like, that's sick. Like, especially, what was it? I can't remember the song, The Blood, where you did digitalize the hands.
Oh, yeah.
Rotating.
Yeah.
That was just so sick.
It was sick. Till the End of Time was really cool.
Yeah.
All the visuals for that tour were like so rad.
That was the funnest. Yeah.
So like, what's the difference, do you think, between... Because I think it's fascinating you say like you were successful in a lot of ways in the marketplace doing the editing and the packs, right? Obviously making more money than you've ever had before, I'm assuming. And then you still have this deep desire to help the church. And that's the whole reason, I mean, we're even doing this podcast.
Yes.
We're good like on our creative agency front, we're good.
Yeah.
Like I think I wanted that. I thought I wanted that and I'm like making more money than I ever have. We've got great staff, like we're doing amazing work. But there was still this desire to like, how do we give back to the thing that gave so much to us?
So true.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And that's why we started Kingdom Creatives, because we want to, in some way, our crazy vision is to somehow help 10,000 churches in 10 years. Awesome. So we're trying to think of ways of, whether that's through like mentorship or, viewership on this, or we're physically helping them, do the creative work. That's what we want to do. And I feel like he was mowing the lawn and he got the vision and I was like, that's it, man. Let's partner with it. But I guess my question is like, marketplace work is great, and I think we are called to do both. Some people are. But what drew you back to the church? Why did you want to do Sunday Screens?
I think it's just, same as you. Just like, this is great, but I think to be able to serve the church and to see it operate in excellence, especially when it comes to visuals, is really important to me. We just both love the church, Yeah. We've been around, high production value. And we've also been part of small churches growing up and all that kind of stuff. And to be able to like empower, churches that are 50 or 50,000 or whatever, anywhere in between is really important to me. I've we were talking about Hillsong earlier, and it's like, growing up, like I remember my mom bought me a CD DVD combo.
Come on.
Back in the day. Yeah.
CD.
DVD.
Oh, that was DVD. Paul was actually the voice guy.
Yeah. Right. He sounds exactly like Brian.
But yeah, like watching the Look to You DVD from Hillsong United, I was like, oh my gosh,
Yeah.
like it literally changed my life watching
Yeah.
it.
I didn't know church could be like
I didn't know church could be that
So
cool.
cool.
And I remember being,
cool, man.
I remember being so impacted by the music, by the visuals, by the excellence around all of that. And then getting to be at, events that Hillsong United would throw or concerts or whatever, and having these like profound encounters with the Lord, that were so that were just so dialed in and intentional on a visual front as well as the audio.
Yeah.
And you could just tell that there was so much intention behind the production, the edits, and the stage design, all of those elements were just, it literally changed my life, and I had these encounters with God where he was speaking to me through these visuals and lighting and all of those elements. And so, as like LED screens have become more approachable, more, there are more churches than ever.
More affordable too.
More affordable.
Getting cheaper.
With that, there's kind of like, yes, the technology has grown, and there was a season where people were time coding out every single frame, and it was like, became a show.
That's for here.
And then it's like, okay, well, the show can be impactful, but if people don't know how to do that, there's a challenge there that kind of pulls you away from worship. And then, just enough of like seeing like both the power of what that can do and the power of distraction that it can, can create.
Yes.
I think that's our heart, is just to like find that middle ground of like, let's be excellent, but let's be worshipful and like actually come to like the reason why we're doing this, and to support worship and become worship backgrounds again.
Backgrounds. Good.
And create these things that are excellent and truly, like spirit filled, but also, are distraction free and all that stuff.
Yeah,
So,
not like the main thing.
It's so funny how it's like, you've done good when it's like not noticing. It's just like that experience just happens.
Yep.
And it's so true. It's like something you hear a lot, which might be a bit like gaslighting for some people in church, but like that pursuit of excellence, like everyone always is saying that, like
serve more.
Excellence, you got to be excellent. And it's like, well, we can't all be excellent, but there isn't a standard. But it's like, that's what's great about what you've done. Because it's like the volunteers, it's like, when you push too hard, like everything's time coded and everything, it gets so lost in it, which is like so awesome when you can just plug and play and a volunteer can come in, which is awesome.
Well, yesterday the client said to us, and I think this is the greatest compliment you can get as a filmmaker. He's looking at it, he goes, "Oh, it just seems like real life," And like I always say, like whenever we film something, I want it to make it feel like we're not filming it. Because as soon as someone goes, "Oh, that's a great editing technique that they did," exactly. I think that's nice for me to hear. Maybe if I'm editing it, but I want the viewer to feel like they're just there. Like they're not actually watching something or even appreciating the cinematography. I think we do as nerds, but the average viewer, you want them to engage with the story. And I think it's so cool what you're saying about Sunday Screens is you want people to engage with the Lord, and the screen is helping aid that worship. And that's just so cool that you get to be a part of that. Hey,
yeah, it's super fun. Our church, we have the screen just sitting on the floor, on the stage,
which I love,
upstage. And a couple times our worship pastor has been like, "Hey, the guitar player's standing in front of the screen," and I was like, and she was kind of like, "We need to see the visuals." I was like, no. It's just a backdrop. Like, put everyone in front of the screen.
Sure. Yes.
I don't want people looking at the screen.
Yes.
Or looking at the guitar player. I don't really care. Like, it's just a backdrop for worship.
Yeah, fully.
It's just movement and texture to help. It could illustrate and go along with what's happening in the worship moment, but it's really just supposed to be a backdrop behind what God's doing.
Yeah, our approach has been like, let's see how we can like treat LED walls more as like a lighting source. I think that's like the more, like the next level up is like whenever you can, especially when it's especially when it's on the on the floor.
Yes.
I think when it's elevated, sure, you can kind of like treat it, but I mean, even then it should just be an extension of lighting
100%.
more than like this like TV, you know what I mean? And I think that's probably the biggest mistake that churches make is they end up approaching media for their screens during worship the same way that you approach media when you're watching TV, which is you're conditioned to like enjoy and appreciate complexity or aerial footage of like, nature and things like that, which is beautiful.
Yeah, sure.
But when you put that in a worship setting, it just becomes a display where you just go back into like media mode, like watching TV mode as an audience member, And so these abstract things, these textures, all these like subtle things become really powerful in a worship setting because they don't do that. And it's like something that you can watch for a second, but you end up just like coming back into the room. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And not just going like this.
Yeah, 100%.
And watching the thing. So
Are you find that you have to try and strike that balance between like maybe what you love to create, there's like this would be so good, and then maybe thinking it might be a bit distracting.
yeah.
Do you always kind of go through that?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, you just have to like, it's really tempting when you're looking at a 27-inch screen and you're looking in the corner of it. So you're looking at, maybe 6 inches of real estate here.
Sure.
And it's like, this feels basic. But then when you think about that blown up 50 feet.
Scale does help. That's true.
It's a big difference.
How do you both like, something I've always found interesting, what's your like, if you will, like creative approach to anything you come up, whether it's like whether it's a music video shoot or the Sunday Screens media, like do you guys have like anything that's your go-to, like where you draw inspiration? Do you have just so many notes? Yeah, like how do you guys do it? Like you just did, what was the thing you just put? The flowers, just rotating, like very simple concept, but like it looks sick. Like where do you guys go?
I mean, I think Ezra probably has a better take on like creative process than I do. I think with like, just briefly, a couple Sunday Screens looks, like with the flowers thing we just did, I know my thought was like, nature is amazing and it's beautiful and God made it. And there's lots of scripture that talks about beholding nature and things like that. But we didn't want to just do, like you're saying, like drone shots of forests and things like that. It's like, there's enough of that.
Yeah.
How can we do God's creation? How can we bring God's creation into it, but in a more abstract, ethereal, distraction-free way?
Right.
That was that. And then I love the stuff we've done with like text, but it's like not about reading it. Like, I don't know if you've seen the look where it's like all the names of God.
Yeah.
Oh, yes, I have seen that. Yeah,
it's like, how can we put a bunch of things that glorify God, but you don't have to actually read any of it. It's just a texture. So I like thinking about things like, how can we do this, but this? Like, how can we take this idea and change it to make it just a background? That's kind of my favorite process, is how can we take this on the nose thing and then tweak it and make it not on the nose. And then Ezra has probably really good thoughts on.
Well, on that look, like the names of God look, you got inspired by like a childhood, like a 90s Christian poster, right?
Yeah. In our house, we had this poster in the kind of our family room, and it was all the names of God, and then it had this like gradient across it, and it was honestly pretty. It kind of slapped for like 1994. It was pretty cool. And as a kid growing up, I just saw it, and I never like sat there and like read them all, but every time I walked by it, King of Kings, Lord of Lords, Alpha and Omega, and just kind of like stuck with me. And I was like, that's so cool. Like, we got to do a background visual that's that poster from my living room. Basically, it was the idea. We should do a color gradient version of it too.
We should.
No, I'm thinking about it.
That's been all struck.
We get paid royalties. Thank you.
Come on.
You were in the room when we thought of the idea.
I asked the question, dude. So
Yeah, man. Yeah, that's a special one for sure. Yeah, I think, on the flowers thing, like he was saying, it's like, okay, we want to bring nature into this, but then we also have to create a seamless loop, right? So to be just, like eliminate distraction. And so that's why the aerial footage and stuff like that kind of bothers me, because it's like you have this like crossfade point or whatever, things like that where you're just like watching it instead of it just being this like thing that can go on for a spontaneous moment for 8 minutes and you're not going, because even with your eyes closed, an LED wall is pretty bright. It's bright enough to pull your attention.
Yeah.
And so even with your eyes closed, if there's a shift on the screen, you're going to feel it.
Yeah.
Even.
And for Mercy Culture, that could be 40-minute loop right there.
Yeah. So with that, it was like, okay, well, how do we bring this in? So we put these flowers like on like a turntable. And so that there's that rotation point that marks the loop point. So it's like, but yeah, as far as like general inspiration, a lot of, just Pinterest, honestly. I know there's like more advanced like Cosmos and all this stuff now, but Pinterest just it just has such a great algorithm.
I always go back to because of the algorithm.
We were talking about that the other day.
And Cosmos
you
looks
find
great.
one thing that you like, and it's like cool. Here's 3,000 more.
I don't know. Maybe the algorithm is the best because Cosmos feels like a great UI. Like clicking around, it feels awesome. I don't know if you've been on there yet, but I always go back to Pinterest. Yeah, it's so much better.
Yeah, it just pulls so much.
Yeah.
It feeds you what you like. It learns what you like and then it just starts feeding.
Yeah.
And that's a problem if like half of what you search is like really cool visuals and then also like keto recipes.
Yeah.
My Pinterest board is like
personal experience.
Yeah. Wait, Paul, are you doing keto? Are you telling us you're doing
I'm
keto?
picking up on something.
That's my way of telling you guys I am doing keto.
Looping avocados.
It doesn't
How did you get involved originally with the Hillsong guys? Like, how did all that happen?
Yeah,
because they're in Australia, but you did a few tours or something. You were telling me this. Did you do a few tours with them? Visuals?
I did a couple of visuals. I mean, basically, it was.
And how did they contact you?
It was kind of just living in Nashville. It's kind of just
true.
One thing leads to the next kind of situation where, and I mean, that all came like Cody and Carrie invited us to TBCO, and which is why we ended up moving to Nashville.
Yeah.
So it was like knowing Cody, growing up with him here at Gateway, playing in the worship team, all that kind of stuff. One thing led to the next. And then it was just like serve, Cody and Carrie really well in their season, as well as we could. And then, as more people kind of, I mean, it's a pretty small niche, like the world of like Christian media guys is like not huge,
True.
So, and then I think the more that I was putting out like abstract visualizers for Cody and things like that, one thing led to the next, and got in touch with the boys from Hillsong. So
cool. So how are you balancing happy editing, the other packs that you're doing with Sunday Screens? How's all that? Is it going?
It's not.
Because it's a lot.
Yeah. So I'm kind of in a transition point where I'm kind of like, I'm having to just figure out how to because of like how dramatic of a life change it was to release those products and experience that financial, growth and all that kind of stuff. And I mean, I'm the type of guy who like, if something works, like I'm going to focus on it and nerd out on it like hard, And so, but especially because I originally launched that stuff under my personal name, it was very close to my identity.
Sure.
And it felt like this, like I've had to like spend the past couple of years like really untethering, like, that world of things, especially because, I mean, honestly, I just don't do that many film projects anymore.
Yeah, true.
I'm not editing that much. And so it's felt like this weird thing where I'm having to like kind of detach like me from that brand. And then especially as we launch Sunday Screens and like really go in on that, it's like, okay, well, I got to figure out how to balance my time here. Like I either need to like detach and hire, or I need to detach completely, or whatever that looks like.
Yeah.
So learning how to balance that stuff is the challenge that I'm in.
And are you currently detaching? Like, is this the plan? What's the plan moving forward? Can you share?
TBD, but objective with something like that is really powerful. It's more powerful,
Completely agree, bro.
And then at the same time, it's like forcing me to like come back to, I've spent probably 2 years like detaching from these things, which is making me want to then like be a person on the internet again.
Yeah, I've
like,
seen you start posting.
Okay, how do I like come back as me, detached from this stuff and all that kind of stuff? So
is that you're posting now? Is that going to be a separate thing that you're just going to start doing?
Yeah, I'm trying to I just started a YouTube channel and I'm like, whatever, let's do this.
So what's the thing behind it? You're doing a video a week?
Yeah, I'm trying to do one video a week and spend no more than an hour
filming and editing.
Oh,
bro,
that's the goal. That's how you do it.
Yeah, and thankfully, I mean, like I've been doing it because I just got my rig like set up where audio's feeding in, so I just have one card.
Yeah,
there's no sync.
Yeah,
and then it's been like using the AI, like the transcript stuff in Premiere. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like pulls the transcript and then just deletes all the gaps.
So good, man.
And so then it's just like it's like a 20-minute edit. So, but yeah,
it's funny that it started out as EzraCohen.tv, and it was like you, and then it was like Ezco, and then it was like Happy Editing, and then now it's Sunday Screens, and then now you're like coming back as just Ezra Cohen on YouTube or whatever.
The reinvented Ezra Cohen, maybe.
That's well, I mean, I think it's like I think that I've in the process of creating digital products and doing that, it's been incredible. But I also do miss the like interaction element of like being on set, building stuff for clients, seeing people win.
Yes,
you know what I mean, and doing the digital product thing, especially in the format that we're doing, there's not a lot of touch points to like be able to experience what's happening. We're serving a lot of churches, but we're not able to see
true. Think about that. True.
Like 99% of them. And so, and same with the editors. It's like, I mean, I have over 100,000 customers on the digital asset side with Happy Editing.
Wait a minute.
Just like, what?
Hold on. Let's rewind for a second. Say it again. 100,000 customers on your editing stuff.
Yeah.
100,000.
Yeah.
That have bought a product.
Years. Yeah. So that's been insane. And then
you know how insane that is, dude. Hey,
it's crazy.
That's crazy, man.
It's crazy. But I'm not going to meet any of them. You know what I mean? Like
you met me.
You met one.
I said like I won't have the chance to like interact with those guys, which is fine, but I'm missing that interaction piece. So the goal of the YouTube channel is actually to like start gearing it towards
That's
like
cool.
a coaching
Re-engage
or something like that, where I can actually like help like coach creatives and have more personal interaction, like see like people win like firsthand. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's interesting. So you missed that.
Yeah.
Really?
Time. Yeah.
I think that speaks into a bit like we've said it so many times, like especially with creatives in this field and lots of fields, it's quite isolating and lonely.
Yep.
Can be.
Yeah, like compared to when you're on set, it's 50 people or whatever. And how do you guys find it? Like when you're alone editing, like keeping motivated, encouraged, like
what do they call it? The dark night of the soul.
Yeah.
That's how editing can feel sometimes.
It can.
I mean, there'll be seasons in my like freelance video career where like I get a ton of, it's like 2-3 weeks of where it's only editing.
Yeah.
I'm like, I got to find a shoot to do so I can get out of the house. That's definitely hard, especially as a
Paul, just cry, dude. Just cry.
I think it's the Texas spring.
The dust storm was crazy.
Yeah, the dust storm.
we were in a lot of dust yesterday.
Yeah.
Did you guys see that though? When the sky was like red.
Yeah, it was nasty. It was on Tuesday when we flew in.
Yeah, I played.
Horrible.
Yeah. This is it.
I almost vomited on the plane coming down. It was like horrific. Anyway, Paul, back to you.
Back to you crying.
I don't know where I was going with that. It can be so lonely and so isolating.
Yeah.
And so having friends that you do it, that you're doing it with is super helpful. I find myself going to just like meet up with other filmmakers all the time.
Yeah.
It's kind of funny because my wife's like, "You going to lunch with who today?" And I'm like, "Oh, it's just Kyle." And she's like, "That's not like potential client. Why are you meeting with them?"
I'm like, they all see dollar signs, man.
I just need to talk to, like, I just need humans.
Yeah.
And so, just keeping your friends close is the best way to deal with the terrors of editing.
It can be like that.
It can be super lonely. I haven't figured out how to deal with it really, besides going to lunch.
Human connection.
Yeah.
Especially like in the church context when maybe the pastor doesn't quite understand what it takes to make a video still. It's like, so they're like, I'll just do this because like the worship team is great because they come in, like you're with a band, you're with the team and you do it all together. But it's like, if you're the photographer or the videographer, it's like you've got the content, but now you got to go into your dark cave and isolate. That's also why we've got Kingdom Creatives, because like we want to gather point as well. So people connect as many as we can. So it's like we're talking about we want to just do something, we're bringing some together just to connect and like to network and like actually like get out of their shell and like.
I'm speaking to the fact that we feel lonely oftentimes as creators. You know, you're behind the camera, you're there by yourself, you're in all black, no one says thank you, no one says hi to you. Like, you know what I mean? Like you're in the back broadcast room, you're switching cameras, like you're really unknown at that point. So I see a gathering of nerds and people who don't get recognition, you know, with the people who do. So with the Cody Khans and the worship leaders and the awesome people, they're all coming together and we're celebrating one another and genuinely connecting with one another. So I think like that was really the heart of Kingdom Creatives, is that obviously we wanted to give back to the church that gave so much to us, but also we want to be a gathering point because right now, like, I mean, Hillsong did a great job with Creative Conference, phenomenal job in Australia. I don't know if they ever did one here.
I don't think so.
They did a Creative Conference. It was like, I mean, what, 20,000, maybe more, would come together, creatives. But again, it was like the real cool guys, which is great. I love the cool guys.
20,000.
You sure?
The Creative Conference?
Yeah.
It was at their local church. That's 5,000.
No, but they did like day after day after day.
Yeah. Sorry.
Sorry, the numbers might be a little bit off. I like to inflate.
2 million.
Yeah.
I think
2 billion.
10 billion?
Yeah. But anyway, I guess the heart is that we want to bring them.
It's gonna be huge.
It's gonna be huge, the biggest ever.
Sean's gonna cut that into the off-camera stuff.
Yeah. We're going off script here.
So, wheel it back.
And I'm gonna try and reel it back here. So yeah, anyway, so that's what do you guys think? Sounding board. Do you think there is a place for that? Like, do you guys know of a gathering point, whether it's a conference or an online thing, where those kinds of creatives or those kinds of people who are serving in churches get to come together? Because you were saying you missed that human connection, and that's you, someone who's probably leading the charge in a lot of, you know, definitely screen media and other areas. You think there's a need for it?
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah,
I definitely think so. Yeah, I mean, there's a couple conferences here in the States, you know, that are doing that as well. But I think there's no shortage of, or there is a shortage. Like, I don't think there's any like, I think the more that we do that, the better. You know what I mean? So
I don't think it's powerful. Oversaturated. Like, I don't,
Yeah.
like you just said, everyone feels a little lonely.
Yeah.
And so I think there's plenty of need for
But there's this wrestle in me that doesn't like being a church kid. Like I don't want to do another conference.
Yeah.
Like I don't want to do another conference. I feel like the landscape has changed, and I want to do something that. Well, firstly, I want to do something that the Lord's calling us to do, so we're praying into it. I mean, everything we go into, we want to make sure, like, what's the Lord saying? But yeah, I definitely don't just want to do another conference for the sake of it.
Yeah.
But I do. The gathering of people is paramount.
Yeah.
Paramount, dude. So what is you said you had 100,000 people on your editing side of things. How's Sunday Screens looking? How many churches do you guys have? Like, what kind of impact are you guys seeing right now?
Right now we have around like 1,600 members, something like that.
Cool.
Which is awesome.
And for people who don't know, is it a platform you subscribe to? How does it work?
So Sunday Screens is a subscription platform, and we are releasing 2 new collections of visuals every single month, and really just trying to. I think the big thing for us with Sunday Screens is to keep it curated, which is such a buzzword that I kind of am getting over a little bit, but I think the intention is for it to be something where a volunteer can show up and make no bad choice,
That's so
because a lot of the times, there's not time to be, to plan out all these, things. And so, and for people who are like inexperienced or whatever, or don't have, years of experience in tours and all this kind of stuff, we want them to be able to like come click on something and for people to not be distracted and for the pastor to not be like looking over their shoulder, like, what's going on.
Yeah, what is this?
What is this? So true. I think
a rainbow comes up.
Yeah, exactly.
I remember back when I was working at the church and I was tasked with, when I took over teams and stuff, they're like, I'm going to fix this media. I walked in, never actually looked at it, opened, Pro Presenter, and there was 450 plus animations on there that these volunteers are just going through. And so we got the old 90s screensavers in there, like nothing had been deleted. And then everyone's, and like the same feedback from the pastors and everything, always were like, what's with the media? Like it's so weird and all these things. So then after a month of them trying to like, how can we teach the team? But there's like, some people just are like, just want to serve.
Right.
They don't necessarily have a creative eye or that taste or anything like that. So then I just made the decision, like, I'm just going to delete it all. Yeah. So I went and deleted so much stuff.
Yeah.
So, and then for a period, there was like 10 things on there. And I'm like, no, that's fine.
That's the thing is, I think that's a better approach, to have 10 good things and then 10,000, okay ones you have to sift through. Like, and I mean, that's another shift. Like we were talking about these like time-coded like show, big production things, which had their place and can be impactful if they're done very tastefully and very carefully.
And if you've got the people to do it that you are learning to get it done. Yeah.
And a lot of those things, like the Hillsong experiences are like these like moments where I experience this crazy production. I mean, those take teams of people and hundreds of hours to be thought through, intentional rehearsal after rehearsal to make sure that there's no distraction, that it's all purposeful. But in the meantime, you have week to week stuff going on, and I think for us, I'm more passionate about seeing people. I'd rather see people pick one thing for the entire service, the entire worship set, that just sets the tone, creates an atmosphere. Doesn't need to be verse 1 this, verse 2, chorus. And then we're changing it, we're fading it off, we're fading it up, blah blah blah. And it's like that's not the intention. Like during worship, a screen is simply a texture, simply a lighting source, and then during the sermon, during pre-service, it becomes more of a communication device or even a stage design element. But during worship, it is strictly a part of the worship. It's part of the lighting design, And so, 10 things is better than 10,000. That's like the big deal, We did fun.
Something interesting that I found when last year I did a bunch of phone calls with different churches who were using Sunday Screens.
Oh, cool.
A lot of them were multi-site churches. And a recurring theme was I was either talking to the head of production who oversaw production for all 8 campuses, or I was talking to a worship pastor who oversaw 2 or 3 campuses, and they were all saying that every week they picked the visuals to go with the songs. So we get the set list, and then we got to sit down and we got to pick visuals for every song.
Wow.
But they're like a high-level leader at the church.
Oh, man.
And so I felt bad, and then I felt even more like emboldened to, like I think on our website we say service tested, volunteer, pastor approved. We joked at one time about doing volunteer proof or something. Volunteer proof.
You probably should.
But like, I think that's something awesome that I care about is like when a creative pastor signs up, I want them to feel confident that they can then empower their volunteers to pick instead of them having to kind of micromanage that and like, well, I got to make sure I pick something good or the volunteers. It's like, here's a login to Sunday Screens. Pick the visuals for this weekend, and that empowers people. And so our hope is that everything on the site is something that a pastor, a creative pastor, a worship pastor would be happy to have on their screen that week. And you can always help volunteers grow in their taste,
Sure.
but giving them a safe place where everything is more curated was our kind of part.
The goal is obviously to build the catalogs. When it started, there was like 5 things on there, or
I think it was 12.
12. It was 6.
Yeah, just saying,
Was
dude.
it 6?
Yeah.
Crap.
It was 6 with 3.
So I was like,
Dude, we're not going to cut that either.
Was it just 6?
It was 6 with 3 coming soon, so that we didn't look.
yeah, and that was nothing on there, just the coming soon. Is it ever going to get to a point? When was that? A couple of years ago now. Yeah. Are you ever going to remove stuff? You reckon after a while, when it's like this is kind of like done?
I think
maybe
so.
never the clouds because they're pretty.
Yeah, I think. I mean, the goal is. I was thinking about that the other day because I'm like, okay, we've gone from 6 to like we're not even at 50 yet, but we're just so like the collections are so deep. You know what I mean? So within that, we there's close to 1,000 visuals, like close to 1,000 loops.
Yeah, wow.
Total.
But only spread across like 45
collections. And then within those collections, there's 10 to 30 loops.
Yeah. So, and I could see us doing like keeping it to the top 100 collections.
Okay.
And just starting to like remove things or keep them on the back ends.
Like
but
you said,
keep them
dated.
in an archive, like, them.
That's a good idea. Yeah. I could see us like removing things that are dated to protect that. Like it could work any time. Like if we get 5 years down the road, this look may actually be pretty field dated. I can see us pulling it.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, I think that's a great way to keep things fresh. And again, like Paul said, like, keep it where people are empowered to make good decisions.
When you guys are creating, how do you, because this is something that would probably help a lot of people because we've all been through it. How do you separate yourself from the projects? Obviously, like we were talking about before, like
identity.
Yeah, actually do pull yourself. Like that's how you make something good as a creative. You know what I mean? You put your heart and soul in it. Yeah. That's the Ezra touch. That's the Paul touch. That's the Sam touch. You know what I mean? That's the difference. It's like you. Yeah.
Don't sell yourself short.
Yeah.
You have a touch.
Actually, come on. Keep going. Now let's go around the group, talk about me and how good I am.
You're going to be a world changer, bro.
Oh, thank you. It's like, how do you not put your identity in it? Like, are you still challenging, like battling with that? Have you gone through it? Is there anything like that you've personally gone through that you're like, oh, that almost destroyed me? Or
I think it's like more like the social media stuff that can be pretty hard to deal with. You know what I mean? Like experiencing some level of growth, going from 3,000, followers on Instagram to, 60 or whatever. Like that really messed with my head.
60,000 by the way.
60,000.
60 like
I lost. You lost
60
29. Yeah. No, but it honestly messed with my head. And honestly, so did like the financial stuff. Like I don't think people really talk about this, but it's like it can really mess with your head to have that jump. It is not. I did not enjoy it. I've actually wanted to like be. I want to be as. I enjoy being more invisible. I'm not like the type of person who like needs more power. You know what I mean? Yeah. And like the more like it's like yes, I don't know. Yeah. But it's like that stuff can mess with your head because you start making decisions based on comments or feedback or whatever. And I think that true creative stuff, especially when it comes to as believers, like when we're like creating with the Lord, you know what I mean? Like to not let the outside voices influence that stuff. I've done the Lord has asked me to do a number of fasts over the past couple of years of like completely removing outside voices, like more like media fasts than to kind of help detox that stuff of just like get off social media, stop listening to the gurus, stop listening to the growth guys, like all that stuff. As important as it is to learn those skills, whether it's in creative or in business, to watch tutorials to grow in your skill set, I think that removing those voices is a really valuable exercise to actually come back to like just cleaning the slate and allowing the Lord to just like speak directly and because otherwise you start chasing things really fast. You know what I mean? Whether it's creative or in business or whatever, like you start chasing. It becomes this like ADHD like scatterbrain of like, well, that's going to work and blah blah blah. And, I should be doing this and I should introduce this channel. I should. It's like kind of all comes back to like obedience is better than sacrifice. You know what I mean? Like
that's good.
And like I feel like I've experienced this before that a short season of obedience is more powerful than a long season of hustle. You know what I mean?
I do.
And it is more impactful. And I've seen more growth creatively, financially, spiritually, in business, in relationships, all that stuff, just by being obedient and removing all that stuff. So yeah.
So a lot of people who are listening would look at someone like you and be like, he's successful, he's making good money, he's got 60,000 followers. You know, what would your caution be to young creatives who think that is the thing?
I would say don't. That's a really good question. I don't know. Just like don't chase like the numbers. You know what I mean? Like it's just
It's easy to do that.
Yeah, it's very easy. You know,
10 new followers, whatever it is, like all these comments. Or even money, dude. Like, okay, no one talks about money. You're clearly doing well. 100,000, 100,000 purchases on your financially, you're doing well. How do you stay? How do you stay like generous, grounded, thoughtful, not a douche? You know, because that stuff I've found when I started making more money, that's the temptation.
Yeah,
like I'm the man. Like I'm better than you because you're making more money or I have more influence, right?
Yep.
What keeps you grounded?
I think that tithing is a huge thing. And I'll share the story really quick. So the year before that happened, the year before that first digital product, I felt like the Lord in January of 2018 said, it was kind of like, you know how like people say like dress for the job you want? I felt I was freelance at the time. There were months where I was making $0. There were months where I was making, $20,000 because all the checks come in or whatever, you know how that goes. And I felt like the Lord said, like, I want you to like tithe a specific consistent amount regardless of what income is showing. And it was kind of like a dress for the job you want, but it was like tithe for this, like tithe this amount. He gave me a number and just watch what I do.
And was it a stretch for you?
Yeah, it was a stretch. Yeah. It was beyond what we had done before, and it was beyond what was 10%. Some months for sure, you know. And I just said like it just felt like he just said just be consistent. And it was at the end of that year that number one, I finished that year. I looked at taxes. I looked at all the profit and loss, and it was literally 10 times the amount that he asked us to tithe. So like we actually gave an amount that ended up being the 10% of what he brought us to. Yeah. And then at the end of that year, he basically like showed me how to make a digital product for the first time, launched it, and that next year we 10x'd our income and was able to tithe off of that, which was really special.
Tithing's huge.
Yep. And
I don't care what anyone says. The Robert Morris series on, he did a series, what was it called?
The Blessed Life. Yeah, it's so powerful.
I watched it 3 times. It radically changed because I didn't grow up in a Christian family. So like tithing for me was really difficult at the beginning. Watching that series, and my wife will attest to this, blew up in a good way. All of our financial views, like our bank accounts, everything from that series. So shout out to that series.
I think tithing's so powerful. And I feel like it's kind of like it's talked about a lot, but it's like not always like what it can do for yourself as well. Because it's such like, money is such a thing we hold on to.
It's so tied to our heart, right? Yeah. So I feel like we say, Lord, I give you my heart. And we sing all the songs. Pipes. Yeah, I know, pipes. Oh, wow. Just when we needed an opportunity to sing. But we sing all these songs and we say all these things and do all these things. But then when it comes to money, wait, hold up. And it's like, does God truly have our heart? Like, I give you my heart, Lord. I think money is the final boss.
Yeah, it's like, for sure. Put your money where your mouth is, what I mean? It's like,
accurate though, isn't it?
Yeah, final boss.
Yeah. It's like, do I truly give him my heart? And I love that you did it regardless of what you saw, because it's easy to maybe tithe on what you know is coming. It's like, 10% of my paycheck for the month, great, I can do that. That's like step 1. But step 2 is like, Lord, what are you calling me to give? The biggest stretch I've ever had was Heart for Mercy when we first started going, and it was the biggest number we were ever called to give. Both my wife and I got given that number. We just moved to the US and we did it, and I feel like in that moment was a release of like control back to him, because we were trying to control so much, and like, it's hectic moving countries and like spending all your money, and then you feel like the Lord's calling you to do something. But the business, and I've told you this story, the business, everything we're doing with the agency, easily 10x, easy.
It's crazy.
Can I have a hot take?
Go for it.
Because there you can do a quick YouTube search and find hundreds of YouTube theologians who will say you don't have to tithe.
Oh, yep.
We don't have to worry about that. That's
Speak
just,
it, bro.
that's
Just
either
generosity.
Oh,
That's fine.
I'm just generous in my own way.
with my time.
That crap is
Yes, bro.
crap. Like, and like, sure, there's probably argument. I mean, Jesus said you should tithe and you should. So the people who say it's Old Testament are stupid.
Yeah.
Because Jesus said,
Clip that.
yeah, there you go. But Jesus said you should do it.
Yep.
And then also, how petty and dark and selfish is your heart that you're trying so hard not to give God 10%. And I know then there's people like, well, I'm not giving it to God. It's the local church and I don't know what they're going to do with it.
Yeah.
And it's like, yeah, dude, do you not just trust God enough to just give 10%?
Yeah.
Like, who cares what they're going to do with it? Can you not trust God enough to just give him 10%?
It's
like
so true.
everything, if we believe everything is his, then like, how are you so selfish and prideful and
100%
untrusting of God?
Dare you? No. And I think even coming back to like, you know, the story of what my wife went through, what we went through with mold and stuff like that, both that experience and I think just the process of being in business for 7 years, like you see the ebbs and flows. Things don't last forever. Like money does not last forever. No. It is actually not, it is not an eternal thing, you know? And I think that there's only a few things that you can take with you in the end, you know what I mean? And money is not one of them. And to be generous with it and to trust God with it is such a power. It's like one of those I'm rabbit trailing here. Completely lost my train of thought.
No, I completely agree.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, right. I mean, tithing for real, like actually saying, Lord, what is it that you would want me to give? So I think the tithe is baseline. Like, if we're talking about the tithe is baseline, and then it's like, then we're called to be generous on top of the tithe. The tithe is just giving back, as we've learned, is giving back what's already his. You know, it's not even mine. So like that, even that view change for me was like radical shift. And then it's like, okay, now how do you want me to be generous on top of that? You know, I think the tithe is the baseline. And man, since I started taking that seriously, and like, you know, I remember back in the day, I'd skip months. Like, oh, we're not doing that good, so like, I'll make up for it. Never make up for it. You know, but because I think there's not much good teaching that's solid, you know, on tithing. But yeah, anyway, change the game, and I think where your heart is, you know, you'll find your money too.
Yeah.
Do you guys have? I think this could be really interesting for like, especially younger creatives or creatives starting out. Do you guys have any like absolute like epic fails related to like media or the church, like that both of you could share on, or something like as disastrous as you want to share?
Yeah, please.
Like the bigger the project or something.
Most disastrous.
I think both of us at separate times have run a fog machine too hard in a service in kids' church.
Oh yeah.
And caused the fire alarms to go off and had to evacuate the entire church. Yes.
The whole building, the whole campus, 3,000-4,000 people marching out to
all the parking lot.
Because of you two.
Yep.
For sure. Yeah.
Both separately for different
things
times.
years apart, I think.
That is
Yeah.
Oh yeah, because you were helping do the video team for the kids ministry.
For Gateway.
Were you doing that too, Ezra?
Different times.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Anything else? We've all been
pretty brutal one.
Yeah.
I've never evacuated 4,000 people from a building, but
Yeah.
I got really close one time. This is maybe not a great story, but
yes, bring
there's
it.
one time. This was probably in it would have been 2017. So it was right after I actually got let go from Gateway, and then I was doing a video for Gateway student, and we had this thing where we wanted to like, for some reason, setting things on fire was really cool back then, and I wanted.
Still is.
Oh, still is.
And I had this thing where like the conference theme was like all these like VHS tapes or whatever, and so I wanted to like have a VHS tape like catch on fire, and so it was like hanging with like fishing wire or whatever.
Oh shoot, dude!
And for some reason, the only time they let me come in and use the studio was like 11 a.m. on a Sunday morning. So big church is happening downstairs, and it's going, and I'm up in the studio, and I'm setting a VHS tape on fire, and it like ignites, and the flames go up, and I see it. They stored all of their rolls of paper,
Oh my God.
dude, up in the ceiling, and I see the flames like licking the rolls of paper. And then on the video, you see my wife with like a water bottle come in, and she goes,
Wow.
dude, and it was like we just kind of stood there for a minute, and it was like
That could have been really bad.
crap.
Is that the
That could have
whole
been
church on fire?
so bad. Yeah, and there was
That's bad, bro.
6,000 people in the building, and that was Just curious.
That
was good.
My last question to wrap up. Where do you see the future of, okay, so obviously the intersection, this is a big question, intersection of AI happening right now. The media shift, I think, that the church is undergoing. I think the world is going and the church is feeling it. Where do you guys see the future of Sunday Screens, but just in general, the media in churches, in our sphere? Where do you see it going? Like, do you think that far ahead?
I'm thinking about it for sure. I mean, it's such a small niche that I don't think there's going to be much. Maybe there will be.
Are you in denial, dude?
No. I know it's real. Like we've used it. I've used it once to create like stained glass.
Yeah.
Cool.
Like it aids definitely for sure.
Basically, the thing for me is like I don't think that looping animations are like on anyone's radar in like a major way necessarily.
Sure.
It's not like a big move, like because there's only so many like people who need that. So I think that that's kind of like the one flaw that it still has is that we can't loop it.
I've tried a bunch of times. I've tried Sora. I've tried Runway. You can't get them to loop.
Yeah.
And so
it resets.
For now, it's not going to be a problem for us.
Yeah, I mean,
until it learns to loop.
But then if that happens, it's still up to the prompt. It's still up to whatever. It's like, ChatGPT isn't like running our lives yet. And so it's still a tool that we all have for copywriting, for media creation, for idea generation.
I think it definitely takes out the junk that like stops the creative flow. Like I found like I'm in a flow, right? And you're talking about the Miller Note board I created. That's all because like I just threw all the admin tasks to ChatGPT and then I could just focus on what's creative. So I feel like if you're using AI to remove all the crap that we do, and then we've got more ability to be creative, it's phenomenal. But we push back on each other all the time because I'm always pushing to use it more because I love it. I'm just a bit of a nerd on AI. But Josh is like, no, we need to, it still needs to be human curated, which I agree.
Yeah. It's this hard thing of like, you can create, like we created a digital double of you the other day, which is like phenomenal.
And it's like 97%
there. Yeah, it's crazy. Wow. It's like just the mouth is just a little bit, but it's like, looks as good as like CG in a movie.
But we did my voice in 11 Labs and then put it in because 11 Labs is just the best.
But it's just like that. It's like, when's the disgenuine parts start? Like we could, you know what I mean? But then there's talks of like, you get all those biographies where they have ghostwriters coming in, but you read the book and nobody thinks about that, and there's nothing wrong with it. It's like, there's definitely a line somewhere, and I don't think anyone knows exactly where it is. And then the church context obviously makes it way harder as well, because it's like there's this element that we believe God's given us all this stuff. So it's like
you can't use AI for church because then potentially you have the Antichrist making stuff for church,
You want to go there, Paul?
That's
the Antichrist, Sam Altman.
I'm just saying.
Also, it's like
that's
use AI. We'll cut out. Use AI. It's a joke.
Preachers are using it all the time.
How it's like you still need the thing which will be the most interesting to see where it gets is like the person putting the prompts in and stuff. It's like there's still that taste, which is that one thing that I honestly don't think you can teach. I think you either just have it and like you can mimic people and you can learn, like get told this is good, so just keep getting better. But it's like inherently we all have an eye for something, a star for something that's just in us. And it's like, I don't think AI can it can't develop a taste. Like it would be its own taste, which is everything. Like
it's just emulating.
Yeah. So
I mean, it's interesting because there are like clear like trends that happen just over time in media. It's like, we're seeing in the thousands, we were all talking about the 80s and having 80s parties, you know what I mean? And then
true.
Now we're all, we're all like referencing early thousands, you know what I mean? There's basically a 20-year cycle that happens in media. So, I mean, I think AI is like intelligent enough to catch onto that. And it probably could get to the point where it starts predicting the next phase just because it's all kind of history-based anyway.
Yeah,
like nostalgia is such a powerful element in the creative process and what we're drawn to as humans. Like anything that we experience as 5 to 15-year-olds, versions of ourselves, are the things that we end up drawing back to.
Cycle,
when we're 35 and all that stuff. You know what I mean? So I don't know. I don't think it's that far off necessarily.
Dude, I got a hot take. I really think AI is going to be like an industrial revolution moment. Like I actually do. People don't like me saying that, but I think like it's going to radically change everything that everybody does all the time.
For sure.
In every way. So I just think like we have an opportunity, whether we like it or not, we got to grab it and go, how are we going to How are we going to use it?
Yeah.
But I think at the same time, the pro or the positive that's going to come out of it is that it's going to push us towards human connection. COVID happened, we became isolated, and then there was a hunger and a thirst to like be back together.
Yeah,
like,
it's true.
Be able to like, you know, be in person. I think it's going to do that in a way. That's a positive. It's going to push us back to human connection because we're now reducing all of our tech tasks, all of our admin. We're just going to have some, you know, a bot that does it.
Yeah.
The con is it will make creatives lazy and it will just produce average content. That's just like, we're going to get sick of seeing it. So there will be a push. I think there's going to be a push back to human connection, a push back to like not so polished kind of, but then AI is going to learn how to not be so polished too.
Yeah.
You know? So, I was just wondering whether you've thought about how that's going to affect what you guys do and in the church space. I think it's coming and we just got to adapt as we go. Hey,
For sure.
yeah.
Absolutely.
But anyway, man, I appreciate you guys joining
thank
us on
you.
the pod.
Yeah, thank you guys.
Great chats. I think there's some synergy here to do something in the future.
Absolutely.
Can't wait to keep connecting. Do you have any thoughts? Final thoughts?
No, thanks for coming.
Yeah. Hey, should we have a look at a shirt?
Yeah, pass us the merch.
Shout out. Oh, look at that box back there. If you didn't
Whoa,
see
what
it.
is this? What?
Look at that
So
box.
this is the proper way? This way? Sunday
Yeah,
Screens.
that's
What is
yeah.
that?
Yep.
What's in there, bro?
What's in there?
Just
Oh,
swag.
better than ours.
Wait, it's going to be what? It's going to be a good
It's gonna be a good. I'll just hit my mic. Gonna be a good
Heck
Sunday.
yeah.
Let's review it.
couple of t-shirts.
Couple of
I didn't know there were
t-shirts.
3 of you. I apologize.
No, that's fine. You can
There's 2 happy editing shirts in there too.
Dude, these are sick, bro.
Go put the hat on.
These are epic.
Designed by
Oh, Trucker too?
Jacob
Heck yeah.
Boyles,
go.
the man, the myth, the legend.
Hell yeah. Jacob who?
Jacob Boyles.
Who's that?
He's
my gosh, the coolest guy.
Yeah,
Sorry,
he's
dude.
incredible.
He did the Bible with the. Is that him? No. Oh,
Bible?
Boyle. No, wrong guy. Sorry. Cut that
He
out.
was the creative director for Elevation.
Elevation. Yeah.
Oh, yeah, for a course.
And
Yeah.
now he's.
Beard?
I guess did he start Another
I
Land?
think he started. I believe he's Another Land. Like
But he's
like-
the record company. That's
Another Land
doing,
with Joel.
Yeah, with Joel.
Yeah.
Oh, is he doing stuff
Yeah.
with Joe? Oh, my mate just got signed with them. That's cool.
Nice.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
awesome.
He's super great designer, really good video, like super creative.
Yeah, he's the dude on that blue
Stickers.
background that we drew inspiration from.
Yes.
He was on the backdrop. Yeah.
Tall.
I know who you're talking about. Yeah. Is he?
Yeah.
Man,
Very tall.
loved this. I think we should do a part 2 soon.
Yes.
Let's do it in Australia. Keen?
Yeah, sounds great.
Alright, boys, thanks for joining.
Thanks, guys.
Peace out.
Hey, thanks for joining us. Just remember, if you click that little subscribe button, it will help so much get these episodes out to people who need to hear it. And we know we receive messages all the time of like, thank you so much, exactly what I needed, exactly what I needed to hear. This is amazing. And so that's what that does. Would you also connect with us on Instagram, connect with us on our website, our emails on there. We would love to connect with you. What I'd also love for you to do is to jump into the comments on the reel and just let us know, who would you love to see on the podcast? Who's the ideal person to sit down for a chat on Kingdom Creatives? And we'll do our best to get them. So again, thank you so much for joining us, and we'll see you next time.